All right, let's jump right in. The world never stops spinning, and March and April of 2025 were no exception. We're going to do a quick-fire roundup of the huge events that really define these past couple of months. We're talking everything from climate news to global power plays and some mind-blowing science, so let's get to it.
Okay, I want to start with just one number. One single number that kind of sets the stage for everything else we're going to talk about. 1.55 degrees Celsius. Now, that's not just some random statistic. It's the official global average temperature increase over pre-industrial levels for 2024. Yeah, it's a pretty stark and, honestly, an unavoidable measure of where our planet stands right now.
And that number, well, it signals a really critical new reality. The World Meteorological Organization made it official. 2024 was the warmest year, not just in a decade, but in the entire 175 years we've been keeping records. So it begs the question, right? In a world that's literally on fire, what else is changing?
And that question leads us straight into our first big topic. We're going to look at our planet in flux, and we'll tackle it from two angles. First, the pretty serious warnings from the latest climate reports, and second, some of the amazing conservation wins that are happening. So when you dig into the data, the trend is, well, it's pretty concerning. It's not just that 2024 was hot. It absolutely smashed the previous record, which was set just the year before in 2023. And get this, every single year from 2015 to 2024 is now officially in the top 10 warmest years ever recorded. Think about that. This isn't just a blip on the radar. It's a clear acceleration.
But you know, big problems can also spark big solutions. And we're seeing that happen. On the world stage, India threw its weight behind the world's first global carbon tax on shipping, which is huge. And back home, there's a ton of targeted action going on. We've got a new floating solar plant in Kochi, a brand new high-altitude research station up in the Himalayas to study climate change up close, and this massive water conservation project happening in almost 150 districts.
And this leadership role isn't just about climate, it extends to wildlife too. India is now the official HQ for the International Big Cat Alliance. I mean, this is a global coalition with 95 countries, all working to protect the 7 major big cat species. It's a really significant commitment, and the Indian government is backing it with some serious funding for the next 5 years.
Of course, conservation is never a straight line, right? It's really tough. Take the super ambitious Project Cheetah, for example. It's facing some serious hurdles. Sadly, after a number of deaths, the team has decided to relocate some of the cheetahs from Kuno National Park to a different sanctuary. It just goes to show how complex and adaptive you have to be with these massive projects.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We're moving from the natural world to the world of nations, power, and partnerships. Here, we're going to explore how countries are building new alliances while also dealing with some pretty serious tensions at home.
This right here is a perfect snapshot of how India is playing a really complex geopolitical game. So check this out. In the span of just a few weeks, the Indian Navy is doing high-tech drills with the US and its allies. And at the same time, it's conducting its 14th naval exercise with its old partner, Russia. Then you throw in a massive $7 billion jet deal with France. What you're seeing is a multi-aligned foreign policy in real time. It's an absolutely crucial balancing act in the world we live in today.
Now, turning to domestic issues. Security in the Northeast continues to be a major challenge. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act, you probably know it as AFSPA, which gives special powers to the military, has just been extended for another 6 months in parts of 3 states. And you can see here, the reasons are different for each area. In Manipur, it's because of the ongoing ethnic violence. In Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh, it's more about ongoing security concerns. It really highlights just how fragile the situation is in the region. But India's influence in the region isn't just about military might. When a devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit Myanmar, India launched what it called Operation Brahma. This was a huge humanitarian effort. We're talking Army, Navy, and Air Force all jumping in. It really cemented India's role as the go-to first responder in South Asia, a lot like what we saw with Operation Maitri back during the Nepal earthquake in 2015.
And you know, sometimes old issues have a way of coming back with a vengeance. The Kachathivu Island dispute is a perfect example. India handed this uninhabited island over to Sri Lanka way back in 1974, but now it's right back in the headlines. Why? Because the Tamil Nadu Assembly just passed another resolution, the 4th one, demanding it back. All of a sudden, this tiny speck of land is a huge political flashpoint, affecting everything from fishermen's livelihoods to international relations.
All right, for our last section, we're going to zoom in a little.
We're moving from the big picture of nations and planets to the breakthroughs in science, society, and justice that are changing our world from the ground up.
So the India Justice Report dropped, and this chart is fascinating. Just look at where the money is going. A whopping 80% of the entire justice system budget goes to the police. The judiciary, just 17%. And things like legal aid, which are so important, less than 3%. You can imagine how that imbalance directly affects how fast and how fair the system can be for the average person.
And that funding breakdown leads directly to this. The very same report ranked states on how well they actually deliver justice. And the difference is huge. On one end of the spectrum, you've got Karnataka as the top performer. And on the other end, all the way at the bottom, is Uttar Pradesh. It's a stark reminder of just how much systemic reform is needed.
Okay, from justice to the world of art, let's talk about another number. 118 crore rupees. That's about 14 million US dollars. That is the new record-smashing price tag for M.F. Hussein's incredible 1958 painting, Voices. It just became the most expensive piece of modern Indian art ever sold. Wow.
And that excitement wasn't just in the art world. Over in literature, we had a huge milestone. The amazing Hindi writer Vinod Kumar Shukla won the Jnanpith Award, which is India's highest literary honor. And what makes it even more special is that he's the very first author from his home state of Chhattisgarh to ever receive it. Then on the social policy front, Kerala did something really forward-thinking. So Kerala has the highest percentage of people over 60 in all of India, about 16.5% of its population. In response, the state just set up the country's first ever Senior Citizens Commission, specifically to look out for the rights and well-being of its older residents. A really progressive move.
Okay, you might want to sit down for this next one, because it is literally something out of a sci-fi movie. A biotech company in the US is claiming they've brought back the dire wolf. You know, the one that's been extinct for 10,000 years. So how'd they do it? They took ancient DNA, used CRISPR gene editing on gray wolf cells, and then used a domestic dog as a surrogate mom. The result? 3 little pups that they claim are the first ever de-extinct dire wolves. I mean, that is just mind-bending stuff.
And to wrap things up, we're going from bringing back the past to launching straight into the future. Get this, Indian Air Force Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is going to be the mission pilot for Axiom Mission 4. He's heading to the International Space Station in May. This is a massive deal because he'll be only the second Indian national ever to go to space, more than 40 years after Rakesh Sharma's iconic flight back in 1984.
So that brings us to the end, and leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? We've just seen a world dealing with a planet that's heating up, global powers making new moves, and science that's literally resurrecting the past. With all of that happening at once, as science brings back the old and politics sketches out the new, what story do we, all of us, choose to write next?